Scott, thanks for taking time out. Again, we stress that we're having to do these interviews via Zoom and Skype and whichever video share software that people have today, given the coronavirus. So just thought it'd be worth checking in with yourself, see how you're getting on, staying at home, fit and healthy and stuff. And I know, having tried to arrange this, that you're just coming in off the back of a little home workout yourself. So how you been getting on, mate?
Yeah, I've been doing all right, to be fair. The babies obviously makes it a lot harder, but she goes down for a sleep about now, so that's when I go in the gym and I get my work done then. So she's still asleep now, but I've managed to get my work and I even managed to get a shower in, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, I'm pretty much at it every day, but I give myself Sunday off, so it's not so bad.
What is it that you can do, mate? I know you've all got personal, individual programs, and we've spoken to Sean Rush and the fitness guys and the medical staff as well. But is it just a case of keeping yourself ticking along with what you can do at home?
To be fair, I'm lucky. I mean, when I first moved into my house, one of the first things they did was turn my garage into a gym. So it's pretty much like a proper gym. So I've got treadmill, bike, weights. I've got everything in there. I've even got a little bit of AstroTurf, so it's all good. And then I've got the garden as well, so I've got plenty of equipment and plenty of room. So it's not been too hard for me, and I don't have to leave my house to do anything. Trying to find a field or anything. So I'm lucky, really. But in turning it into a gym, as it's gone, it's turned out to be a good investment. Now all this has started going on, unfortunately, but yeah, I'm lucky. I've got all the equipment and I can do plenty of stuff.
Yeah, sounds like the Hogan training ground. Tats, how much work you've been doing during this lockdown?
Pass.
Little.
Pretty sure I've got a lot of recycling to take out anyway.
Yeah, I've had 2 skips full done me.
Scott, now I saw a picture of you a couple of weeks ago on Twitter that you shared with us. You look like some sort of balding supply teacher on your Twitter feed, but now it's looking a little sharper. Talk us through what happened with Barnet, mate.
Yeah, it's all right now. I mean, I've been getting a lot of stick, mainly off my missus, about my Barnet, but I was all right with it. I quite liked it. One less thing to worry about having to go to barbers, so. But I think it was the second week of the lockdown, and I come downstairs with the clippers. I said, right, I'm shaving it off. And I started shaving it off myself. And obviously doing a bad job of it. But then she took over and she just shaved it off. And there it is what it is. It's a lot easier in the morning, but I'm looking forward to it going back, I'll be honest with you.
Talking to a lot of players, Scott, during this time of the season, obviously it'd be coming towards the end of the season, it would have been a run-in. It was obviously an intense time for players. I know it's trying to make the positive from a negative, but you almost, especially having a little one like yourself, appreciate this family time that you wouldn't otherwise have during a regular season.
Yeah, you do, to be fair. Don't get me wrong, it gets a bit boring after a while, a bit hard work, because there's nowhere to escape. But no, it is good. My daughter's now coming up to 5 months old now, so she's doing all sorts now. So it helps because you can do a lot more stuff in the house. It takes the workload off, your partner. So it has been all right, to be fair. Because you are kept busy. And I think when you're sort of locked down, as they say, if you keep busy, I think that's the best way to, cope. So. But yeah, I mean, I've had, coming up to 2 months nearly now, maybe not 2 months, 6 weeks, sorry, of being at home constant, regular, because even in the off season, you'd go down to the gym or you pop out or whatever, but you're literally here every second of every day. So it has been really nice. But obviously you need that little couple of hours here and there to get away, which I can't get. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Onto the football, like you say, I think this week, in the last couple of days, there's been reports of training grounds opening to certain Premier League clubs to small groups of players. It'd be interesting to see whether other clubs follow suit. There's an appetite and I think a hunger for the league to finish the remainder of this season. In your opinion, does this season have to be finished? Do you think the remaining 9-10 games have to get completed?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think as long as there's reasonable way of doing it, the safe way of doing it, I think we've got time to do it as well. So technically we've had a break now. I suppose you could look at it. So if it means starting the season next year closer to the end of this one, then so be it. But I think with 9 games to go, I think you can get them in by the sounds of what the authorities and government are saying. They're saying it will be, able to get them in. So I think if you can, they would do it. Yeah. Obviously, the safety-wise, you'd have to look at behind closed doors and all that, which is, it can't be helped. But I think you've got to finish it, and you can sort of draw a line under it, and it gives everyone a bit of breathing space. Then, once it's done and all the, people asking this and that, wanting to know what's going on, I think just like a few people have said, just to almost, you've got to do it, I think, just to finish it, because there's 9 games, and if it can be done obviously safely, then but I'm all for finishing the season without a doubt.
Tats, it's all guesswork from our point of view. We're obviously guided by both the government and the EFL, but do you foresee something unravelling where the season does get finished in the coming months?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a will on all sides, and it seems the government are looking that way as well. I think the next few days we'll probably get some sort of time scale. The interesting thing for me is, like you said there, Scott, it looks like behind closed doors. What will that be like? What's that feeling like, playing not in front of fans for a player? It must be pretty strange, pretty eerie.
To be fair though, before I come to Blues, I spent 3 months at Stoke playing behind closed doors pretty much. So I'm all right with it. Like, it won't. Yeah, it'll be different. I mean, I've been sat there thinking a few times this week, what are you going to do when you score? Like, what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? It'd be weird to run off celebrating when no one's there.
You shush the away fans or what? Or?
That's what I mean. What do you do? So it'll almost feel like, it will feel like a training ground, game, a development game or something. It will feel like that. But, as long as you're playing football at the moment, I think most players will take it at the moment. And I think even most fans will take it as long as they can view it on TV, and it gives them something else to look forward to. If they're playing games every other day or every day, it takes 2-3 hours out of your day. So it will be strange, obviously, but if that's how it's going to pan out, then so be it. And at the end of the day, we're paid to do that. So regardless of whether there's fans or not, we've got to go out and do the job anyway. So yeah, it will be strange, but whatever will be, will be.
Yeah, I just think there might be some odd results as well, because the break in the season, teams who might have momentum, whether it be good or bad, it's almost like starting afresh, isn't it? It's like almost like a tournament scenario where you've got to cram so many games in so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I'd look forward to like a tournament scenario. I think it would be great, like good fun. But I think you've got to look at it. Some big clubs in the Championship, maybe underperforming teams will have the sort of no holding back with no fans. The pressure of the big crowds. It might give them a new lease of life just to play free. So I think you'll see a fair few strange results. But obviously, hopefully, we don't get many strange results because we get as many points as we can and see what happens.
Yeah, obviously the coronavirus pandemic and the resulting lockdown comes at a bad time, not just for football in general, but for the club. We're in the middle of a fantastic run, and for yourself as well. I mean, everyone's speaking about the impact that you've made at the club. 7 goals in 8 league games. You scored in your first 3 as well. I know we've asked you a number of times, but in your mind, I don't think you'll be able to tell us. Could you have wished for a better start to your loan spell at the club?
No, obviously you couldn't have wished for a better start. I've said previously, look, I'm always confident that if I play regular, I'll score regular. It doesn't usually, it only takes me 2 or 3 games to get going in my past clubs or whatever, or my previous career shows. But I managed to get off to a good start, and like I say, if I play regular, I will score regular. I know I will. But I've just got to hopefully just jump straight back in when it comes around, if it comes around, and I've got 7 goals. There's 9 games left. I mean, I'm going to aim for 9 goals, obviously, because I think that's what you should do as a striker. You should aim to score every game. So, hopefully I can maybe get a hat trick or anything. I'm going to try. So, we just got to get straight back on it and see where it takes us.
Whenever we've spoken to you, members of the media speak to you after games, even when you've scored goals, and of course you had a Player of the Month award in February, you always come across as a sort of grounded, self-critical sort of player. Have you always been that way, and looking at your own performances and not needing anyone to tell you whether you've played well or whether you've been poor? You're almost your own worst critic in that sense.
Yeah, well, I look at it, if I don't score, I've played bad. But my first ever professional manager was Keith Hill at Rochdale, and ever since being around him, who taught me a lot, I've always kept it on board. I mean, I always remember my second ever professional game at Plymouth away, and he had a bit of a nightmare. And he absolutely hammered me in front of the whole group the next day. I mean, I was a 21-year-old kid straight from working 9 to 5, and he absolutely battered me. But it was in a good way, and ever since then, it almost taught me to look at everything and make sure I understand what I'm doing and what I'm not doing, to not give people the ammunition to do that to me again. And he was brilliant for my career. Obviously, he gave me a chance, but he was the one who, he never really looked at stuff, but he always dropped comments here and there. You'd be 30 minutes into a training session and he'd drop a comment about a game 3 weeks ago, and it'd stick with you and it'd make you want to do it better. And then ever since then, I've always tried to look at my game, obviously, before anyone else can tell me. And then once I've looked at it, I'm sure people will try and help me out. But I think you've got to look at yourself first before you look at anything else. I mean, I think that goes with anything in life. You control yourself, don't you? So I think that's how you've got to look at it.
Do you ever let your emotions get the better of you? Because it just seems like you keep this emotional baseline and you're always very calculated. It's like an always cool persona that you've got whenever we speak to you after games. Do you ever let your emotions take over during the game?
No, I did previously, the past couple of years, a few times, but no, I always remember that goes back to Rochdale, and we was playing a game against Scunthorpe, and I headbutted someone, and I got away with it somehow. I got away with it. Don't know how. And then one of the other lads got sent off, and it was all my fault because I didn't get sent off. He had to get sent off, and it always stayed with me because I let this teammate down, because the following week we had a big FA Cup third round game against Leeds and he had to miss out. And he let me know. He was an older pro and he let me know. And ever since then, I've always tried to keep calm. But obviously over the past couple of years, it's not gone so well. So my frustrations have come out a little bit. But I try not to let it show on the pitch. I may show it in training a lot. That's what you don't see. It more comes out in training. And then when it comes to the match, it doesn't come out. But yeah, I try not to lose my temper because it gets you in trouble, doesn't it? So I keep it in.
Sorry, Doug. The question I always ask strikers, finishers like yourself, Scott. Are strikers born or are they made? And I just think you look at some of the goals, the run that you made in the Sheffield Wednesday game, the turn, the shot at Barnsley. That sort of, it's almost instinct. I don't know if it's coachable in many respects.
It's hard to say. To be honest, I think you can coach everything, but then the person has to be willing to practice it. And then once you've practiced, I think that's when it becomes instinct. And once you've practiced where you know you can't fail, I think that is instinct, because you know when you get in a situation what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And look, 9 times out of 10 it might hit the rose Z, but if you keep doing it, the more will go in. I mean, I'm just watching the Michael Jordan documentary, and they were talking to Dennis Rodman, who's a bit of a funny character, but they were talking about how he learned and getting the rebounds off shots, and you see him talking about he knew what type of shot every player was going to throw and how it'd spin off the board and all that. And I think that's what it is. And then it almost looks like it's instinct that he's the first to grab the ball and do whatever. The more you do it, the more you see it. I think I think they are made, but you have to be willing to put in the hard work to be made, I think. And then it's just experience, and a lot of it's guessing. I'll be honest with you. You know, you've got to guess, because gamble, as they say.
Yeah.
And if you don't
Gary
gamble, you're not
said
gonna
that,
do
didn't he? Always gambles on that ball in and around the 6-yard box.
If you gamble, you've got a chance. If you don't move, you've very rarely got a chance. So, I mean, one thing that I always try to do is, I always look at it. If I'm in the box, I just try. I think to myself, right, I don't want to ever be marked. If I'm not marked in the box, I've got room to move around, and you have the little half yard that if something drops. So I think that's my one golden rule. It's the only thing I really think of in a game is, if I'm in the box, I don't want to be marked, or I want at least a yard or two. So I think what you said, I think they are made. The odd one or two might be born. You know what I mean, like Messi. But I think a lot of them, I think it is made, and then it becomes your instinct.
Yeah.
In terms of coaching it, Scotty, can you think back to any coaches that you've had at any sort of level who's really drilled into you sort of the art of finishing? You often see grassroots clubs and not so much the professional game, but you know, a young striker's just set a ball on the edge of the box. There's no pressure on him. He can take all the time in the world and slice it and slot it into an empty net. In terms of really working in and honing on your craft, has there ever been a time in your career that you can think back to and think that's where you made the most progression and the best drills in terms of your finishing?
I have to go back to Rochdale, because that's where it all started. And we had, you know, Keith Hill was the manager, Chris Beach was the assistant, and Tony Ellis, the ex-Burnley player, he used to do some coaching, and he was a striker. He's a total different type of striker to me, but he always used to come in with drills from other people, and he said he'd be like, "Oh, I played with such a body, or I played against such a body," and he always used to. I used to ask him, "What do you do?" And I always remember one told me about Andy Cole. He said basically Andy Cole just used to stick a pole just inside each post of the goal, and no matter what, he said, no matter what he did, he could be just passing it, he could be absolutely smashing it, he could be dribbling then cutting in, but the main thing was get it in between that gap of the pole and the post. And ever since then, I always tried to do it. And when I went to Brentford following that, I spent a lot of time injured, and you used to think of stuff. And then when I got back fit, I spent a lot of time on the training pitch, and I always used to practice the same things, and it was the same drills, and they always stuck with me. And I try to do it as much as I can, because it goes back to the instinct, born or made. Everything's made, I think, as long as you work hard. So yeah, there's been a couple of coaches like who have been great with me, but I think it's also down to yourself. You've got to go and do it yourself. No one's going to make you do it. So the more you do it, the better you'll get at it.
Yeah, Tats, before Scotty came, I think we were both, a lot of us in the fan base almost agreed, and lots of members of the media felt that it was a match made in heaven with Lukas Jukovic already at the club, two very contrasting forwards. I mean, from your point of view, and having watched the impact that Scott and Duke have sort of struck up together in a front two relationship, is it the old sort of throwback big man, little man, the mobile striker who can score the goals, and the big battering ram up there in Lukas Jukovic that complement each other so well?
Was that to me? Sorry.
It was to you.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I thought you were asking the main man then. I wouldn't know. No. It's interesting because I just think, I always think, especially with strikers, you've got to be in a team, a club that plays to your strengths. And obviously at Brentford, I think it's a little bit different for you, isn't it, Scott? They tended to play through the middle a bit more. It's more passing through the lines. And they got your chances that way. But with Juki, I know you've been encouraged to go in behind and chase defenders down. But it seems to have clicked, doesn't it?
Yeah, as look, I've said in previous interviews, you know, Juki is incredible at what he does. You know, he will do the dirtiest side of the game if it means his teammate gets a chance or a goal or anything. And it does, because you're basically playing against two defenders, and then on the odd occasion, three defenders. And Juki can occupy two. I can occupy two. I mean, if they can't find me, they go for Juki. If they can't find Juki, they go for me. So it really does work well. I mean, but this is the first time I've played as a 2 in professional football. So I've always played as a number 9 down the middle. And you go back to my days at Brentford, we had, the Brentford way is, real possession-based passing, forward passing, not just possession for the sake of it. It was 1-2s. It was all sorts. It was, on the day, nobody in this league will touch a Brentford team. And I say this since they come back to the Championship. On the day, no one will beat them if they put it together, because you can't get near them. And obviously, when I was there, I was able to make runs. I was able to link the play, and you always had options. And I mean, with Dukey, you've always got an option, because he's always in and around you, because he's not going to run channels or whatever. He's going to be in and around you at all times, and anything that comes off you is there. I mean, I think was it his goal against Sheffield Wednesday? Yeah, I think it was. The ball comes into me after he hooks it, and, but he's already there, because he's always going to be in and around the box, because he's going to head for the box no matter where the ball is, because he wants to get at that back post, doesn't he? So, and I'll go the other way. But he is incredible at what he does, and he's one of them you underrated players that people talk about and all that. I mean, he is without a doubt the best underrated player I've played with, just for what he does for that team. Not himself, he does it for the team, which is, it's incredible for a striker to do that, because they're not normally like that.
I find that quite surprising, Scott, that you've never played as a front 2, as a forward. You've always been the sort of 9 down the middle. Has it taken you a bit of adjusting to? I find that in all the years that you've played, you've never had a strike partner up there with you?
No, I mean, it's actually been all right, because I know the manager basically tells me to do what I want. I mean, everyone wants that. I think at Bristol City away, I think it was my second game, I literally just stayed on the shoulder of the last defender, because I knew I was quicker than him. I knew it was just one pass and I was in. And there's obviously, it broke down a couple of times, because, we'd only played together once and the timing of things wasn't there. But it just allows you. Dukey will drop in as a 10 or whatever when they have the ball, and he'll do everything. And, you'll go to drop in to do the 10 to give him a rest, and he tells you to get away. No, you get up there, I'm going to do it. It is such. So when the ball does come to you fresh and whatever, but yeah, as long as I'm playing at the moment, like I said, when I come, as long as I'm playing, I'll play in any formation whatsoever at the moment.
Yeah, I remember after that Bristol game, Lee Johnson said you really unsettled them, because obviously they'd been used to Blues playing a certain way, but I think you'd added that little bit of extra dimension. Yeah,
well, I remember talking to the manager before that game, and I said, I always do well against Bristol. I said, I don't know why. I said, they always do well. Played there for Brentford. I could have had about 8 goals, literally. I just had one of them nights, nothing went in, but it was pretty much panned out exactly the same, Yeah. I literally just waited in between the centre-backs all game. And every time it was just one ball, and it's always been the same every time I've played them for some reason. But maybe it helps, the lads knowing that it's not just into Dukey and see what happens. It gives everyone a chance to do something else. And I like to think when I play, I'll make a run sometimes, and I don't run. I'm not running for the ball. I just think, right, I'm going to run now and see what happens. You might see me in a game, the ball could be in the other corner, and I just run. And there's no point in the run, but in my head there is, because I just want to see what they're going to do. And then 9 times out of 10 lately, they'll drop.
Yeah.
So if I see them drop, I'll do it again. And then all of a sudden it gives, the likes of guards space to run into. It gives, Jude can come inside. Dukey can drop in and get it to his feet. So I think it's, in terms of unsettling Birmingham, people think they've got a way of playing Birmingham, but maybe it's a bit different now, and it gives us a bit more of an advantage.
Yeah, I remember that game against Bristol, but almost in the first few weeks when you were at the club, although you were still scoring, there was a number of times you were making those runs, and it was almost however many times you were getting flagged offside. And I don't think it was as much as a fault of yours than it was that the team were getting used to how you played, and you were obviously getting used to your teammates. As that sort of progressed as the weeks have gone on, it seems that now, before this obviously, you were on the same wavelength and the timing was starting to come together.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the manager when I come knew what I could do. I don't think he knew exactly what I could do. You know, and Mal, you know, I can do a lot more than what he wants. And I think at Leicester, I did it. You know, I played deeper and all that. But I speak to Craig Gardner a lot, and it was a case of Bristol. But you go back to me emotional. I nearly did lose my temper at Bristol because I kept getting offside, and I'm in my head. I'm thinking, I look such an idiot here. I am constantly offside, and I could picture it in my head what the commentator is. He's like, he's got to hold his run, or just give him a yard. But when you watch the clips back, if the ball's played at the time I expect it to be played, I am a yard onside or I'm onside. And I went through it with guards after the game and the coaches, and I said, look, lads are taking one extra touch. I said 2 extra touch. I said even half a touch, they're taking it too long, because I watched it and I timed it. I did it myself. I stopped it, paused it when the ball was kicked and when I'd gone. And then I'd pause it when I'd gone and the ball was with the player. And it was just 1 extra touch every time. And I said to guards and the manager, I said, look, I said, if they get their timing right off my movement, I said, I can get in 6 or 7 times a game on a one-on-one. I said, they just have to understand that as soon as the ball lands at their feet, I will take off, because if you think about a game of football, if the other team have all the ball, the defenders are resting, they're in position, who you are, as soon as that ball turns over, if you play it could be to my feet a lot of the time as well. But if you just take a look and just play it, and I mean, I'm not talking boot it into a channel. You know, a lot of people do that and say that, but it's a ball. I always ask for the ball to be curved in towards goal so that you can run onto it towards goal. And then we went through it, and then it started to build and build, and a few more times I'd get in, and obviously it got a little difficult towards the end because teams were then playing 3 at the back, and just as soon as we got the ball, it just dropped right onto the goal, 6-yard, 18-yard box, and it became a bit more difficult. But I have to still keep doing it, because then it opens up for Duke who can dribble and shoot, and guards, and so it is. Everything's a timing issue, but I think it was either I have to stop my run and start it later, or they play the ball early, and I don't know how to stop once I take off, you see. So because I like to think I'm quite a quick, powerful player. So once I go, I'm gone. I ain't stopping and coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, do you mind talking us through your celebration as well? A lot of fans have obviously noticed you point to the heavens and stuff. Is that your way of dedicating a goal to someone who you think's looking down on you?
Yeah, so last year my dad lost his wife, who's not my mum, my stepmom. He lost his and his mum, so my grandma. They died within, I think it was about 3 weeks of each other. So the year before, my dad had a terrible year, and but my nana, it was the Irish side of my family, and she was crazy, man. Honest to God, she'd do anything to watch a game of football. You know, she'd go without eating a week at home, as long as it meant she could pay for Sky. You know, she's that kind of person, and she's one of the strongest people I've ever met. I mean, she only had 1 leg, and we used to laugh about it. She shouldn't really laugh, I know, but she used to love it. But she refused help. She'd hop along. I mean, she was 84, 85, and she'd hop about the house, cooking, cleaning. She'd refuse help, and it was incredible. She's like an incredible woman. Like, so, and she loved football. I mean, I'd ring her and she'd be like, "Why are you not playing, Scott?" And I'd be like, "I don't know, Nanny." She'd be like, "Well, that manager's it." I won't say it. But she'd kick off, and she'd go to bed at night saying prayers and everything to everyone. So, and then obviously, in December my daughter was born, so the tattoo is my daughter. So that's for her, and then the one to the skies for my nana.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice touch, mate. Hopefully we get to see a few more of those celebrations when hopefully the season resumes again. So yeah, really nice way to probably end our chat, mate. You keep safe, stay fit and sharp and everything, and hopefully we look forward to seeing you back out there in a blue shirt in the next few weeks and months.
Yeah, hopefully. Cheers, guys. Thank you.